Hey everyone. So, not too long ago I did a video on what I believe to be the biggest problems in the Christian church, for what that is worth. But this is a topic that I have a very hard time articulating. It's hard for me to find the words to properly explain what I'm trying to explain. So I wanted to give another attempt at it. I just want to be clear that this video, the intended audience for this video is people who claim to be Christians, right? I'm not making this video for the benefit of people who don't believe in God. If you don't believe in God, this video is probably going to mean nothing to you. So I just want to throw that out there. So what I have here is a question for you guys, and I believe that this question will reveal a lot about how you perceive God and how you perceive man, how you perceive mankind. And so I'll just get right into it. My question is a hypothetical scenario. You encounter a genie, like, a genie from Aladdin, a genie who can grant you any wish, no matter how great the wish may be. And he can even grant the wish that, everyone on earth would be saved and go to heaven. Okay, he can grant that wish in a way that doesn't force people to be saved. It doesn't manipulate people into being saved. It's just a genuine, authentic conversion for everyone on the planet. Okay, everyone is saved. Everyone goes to heaven. Everyone loves God. Everyone enjoys loving God. Nobody is forced to believe, nothing like that. It's just a genuine conversion for everyone on the planet. You can make a wish to the genie and make that happen, okay? Now, if that hypothetical scenario was real, and you got a genie who could grant you a magic wish to save everyone on the planet, would you make that wish? Now, I want you to be very careful about how you answer. And actually, you might want to pause the video and think about this for a second, because how you answer this question is really going to reveal a lot about what goes on inside your heart when you think about God, when you think about man. So just think about this for a second. If you could make a wish that everyone on earth would be saved, would you make that? Okay, so hopefully you've thought about that for a bit. I'm going to unpack what I believe to be the correct answer to the question. So probably have about two responses for most people on this question. A large chunk of people are probably going to say, of course I would wish for everyone to be saved. God wants everyone to be saved. And that would be, God's will that I wish for everyone to be saved. Now, the problem I have with that is that if you really believe that God is all-powerful and omniscient, then basically what you're saying is the little genie I made up in my story is more powerful than your God, because if God really wanted everyone to be saved, everyone would be saved. So what you're saying is that little genie I made up in my story is more powerful than your God, and that, God would somehow be blessed if we helped him out by making a magic wish to the genie, because poor God is losing the battle with Satan, and people are going to hell, and there's nothing God can do about it. So your God is not the God of the Bible, in my opinion. If you believe that God's not powerful enough to give people a genuine conversion, to reveal himself to them, and without any sort of force or coercion, if you don't believe that God's powerful enough or smart enough or beautiful enough or lovely enough to do that, then you have a small God, and your God is not the God of the Bible. Okay, back to the question. I think there's another response. We'll probably get to the question of making a wish to the genie to save everybody. And this other response I think we'll get is that even if it goes against God's will, I would still make that wish for the well-being of humanity. Now just think about this. If you made this wish, it would go against God's will, wouldn't wouldn't it? Because if he made this wish, then the entire book of Revelation is not true anymore, right? Huge chunks of the Bible are no longer going to be true if everyone on the planet's saved, right? Anyone who reads the Bible knows that. I don't need to spend a lot of time unpacking that, because if you read the Bible, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the book of Revelation wouldn't be true. God would be made out to be a liar, and so on and so forth. But you could do all of that and, just save everybody from hell, but it would make God out to be a liar, and, it would mess up the entire Bible and everything like that. God's plan would come crashing down. All of God's plan would be all muddled up because you wished for everyone to be saved and it came true. But would you do that anyway, just for the well-being of humans? Now, this is what I believe, along with the other response I just discussed. This is like one of the biggest problems of the church, is that so many people would answer, yes, I would do that. And why do they answer that? Because they would rather trash their relationship with God and save everybody on the planet. Now, why do I have a problem with that? Why? Well, this is like a misunderstanding of the entire basis of Christian morality. What you're saying is that the well-being of humanity is somehow a higher standard than the moral authority of God. You're essentially saying that when God flooded the entire earth in the book of Genesis, that God sinned. That's what you're essentially saying. You're saying that God's number one priority is the well-being of humans. And this is the mentality the church has, unfortunately. Whether or not they realize it, they might deny it on the surface, but beneath the surface, this is the mentality the church has. This is the mentality Christians have. They seem to believe, maybe not in their words, but in their actions, they believe that the well-being, the comfort and safety of human beings is God's number one priority. That's what they seem to believe in the way they behave and how they respond to sickness and how they respond to, how they handle evangelism, how they handle church activities, how they live their lives. It's like they think that God's number one priority is that you're comfortable and happy and safe, or at least that you're safe. But God never said that. God's priority is to glorify His name. And He can do that however He wants, whether that be flooding the entire earth or sending people to hell or whatever. God created us. He can do whatever He wants. He's not required to save anybody. He's not required to make us stop hating Him. It's our fault we hate Him. It's not His fault. He created us. He created us and we chose to hate Him. It's not His fault, and there's no moral standard that God has to submit to. The well-being of humans is not some mystical moral authority above God that He has to obey. All moral authority for a Christian comes from God. Something is bad because God says it's bad, not because there's some mystical authority that tells us that murder is bad, or that adultery is bad, or that being gay is bad. People make up their opinions about these things, and most people agree that murder is bad, but being gay, I don't know about that one. Something is good or bad based on what God says about it. If God says homosexual activities are bad, then they're bad. If God says murder is bad, then it's bad. It has nothing to do with this mystical authority of well-being for humans. Well-being for humans is a secular idea. It's a secular idea that the well-beings of humans is what defines morality. It's a very secular idea. And it's very subjective as well, because everybody has a different idea of what's best for human beings. So this is the big problem I see. It's that when push comes to shove, if people were given a choice to magically save everyone on the planet and turn their backs on God and be His enemy, they would do it because they actually love humans more than they love God. And this is not okay. This is not how Christians should be. Jesus said, anyone who loves their mother or father more than me is not worthy of me. Jesus said we must take up our cross and follow Him. Jesus told us that we have to turn our backs on the world and follow Him instead. We have to choose Him over the world. Whoever will save his life must lose it. We have to, like, actually worship him. We need to, like, actually worship him like God. Like, not just kind of like him or think he's pretty awesome. We need to, like, actually worship him. Would you actually give up everything for Jesus Christ? Would you literally turn your back on the entire world, your family, your friends, everyone? Would you completely turn your back on them and not care what happened to them if God commanded you to do it? Would you do that? I think most of the church is really more concerned about the well-being of humans than they are about worshiping God. So, I hope that made sense. I know it probably sounded really harsh, but I'm trying to communicate what I see to be wrong with the church, and it seems like people worship humans and not God. In case you didn't get it by now, the genie in my story actually represents Satan. Do you remember when Jesus was tempted in the desert, and Satan told him, "I'll give you all the kingdoms of the earth if you bow down and worship me"? What do you think Satan was offering? You think Satan was offering Jesus to sit on a throne in a city and just kind of cross his legs? Satan told him that he'd give all the kingdoms of the earth to Jesus. Doesn't that mean that everyone on earth would be saved? What does it mean to be saved if not to belong to Christ? Belonging to Christ is synonymous with being saved. So, Jesus declined that. He declined that. He would have rather obey the Father than have everyone on the planet belong to him. He would rather obey the Father. And that's just not what I see in the church, unfortunately. That's not what I see. And it's disturbing to me. The well-being of humans is important because God says it's important. We do that to glorify him. We love our neighbor because God told us to love our neighbor. We don't love our neighbor because there's this mystical moral authority above God that tells us that human well-being is the most important thing ever. It's not a Christian idea. Any non-believing person can think that the well-being of humans is the most important thing ever. That's not a Christian idea. That's not a new idea. That's not an idea from God. Prioritizing human well-being is completely secular, completely normal, completely commonplace, and completely compatible with the flesh. So, I hope that was coherent. I hope this somehow benefited somebody, and just hope that you understand that, like, God is love, and, like, that can be true without him being obsessed with the well-being of humans above all else. Like, God can be love without prioritizing our well-being. It's really not about us. God is not something that was created for our pleasure and our enjoyment and our safety. We were created for God's pleasure. It is not about us. So I've rambled on way too long already, probably, and I just hope that I somehow managed to communicate my concern about Christianity effectively. Thank you if you managed to watch this long. God bless you, and I do hope that whoever is watching this video would believe in Jesus Christ. By the grace of God, they would believe in Jesus Christ, and that they would go into eternal paradise by God's grace. I do want that for everybody. I do. I really do want that for everybody. And we just need to understand that, like, God is more loving than we are, even if people go to hell. Even if he allows people to go to hell, that doesn't mean he's any less loving. We just have to stop thinking it's about us. We have to stop basing our sense of morality on our own well-being. Anyway, that's enough. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.